and today we're going to be talking about 5 reasons why you should be buying an SN95 Mustang. The first reason why you should buy an SN95 Mustang. So reason number 1 is going to be the value that you're getting for this car. You can typically pick one of these cars up for anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 with a V8 in it. Now that'll obviously depend on the mileage, what's been done to the car, you know, the history of the car, how many miles are on the car. That goes without saying, but it's still gonna be super easy to get into a V8 rear wheel drive 2-door sports coupe. It is hands down gonna be the best value you can get for the money. When it comes to actually buying one of these cars, you're never gonna be spending too much money and you're gonna be getting a lot of car. All right, so now let's take a look under the hood. So this particular one is a 1995. You can tell by the rear taillights there. They have the horizontal instead of the vertical lines. And this is the GT. So in 94, 95, they actually had the 5-liter V8. It also comes in the 4.6 if you get the 96 or 97 or the 98. This is a 95. The 94 also had the 5-liter. And it is an awesome engine. Now real quick before we go into point number 2, let's just go ahead and take a quick look at what is under the hood on this car. So as you can see, this is the 5-liter V8. This is a 1995, so it does have the 5-liter in it. So you are getting a lot of engine for the amount of money that you're paying for this car. Now this car obviously has a cold air intake. It has a couple other odds and ends on it. Nothing, you know, crazy out of the ordinary. It's still a relatively stock car, but it runs and drives like a dream. All right, and reason number 2 can actually kind of go both ways, but it is going to be the Mustang car culture. And typically when you see a Mustang, you think of, you know, somebody my age, a little bit younger, who's going to be throwing the car into the wall because they don't know how to handle the power, or a crowd. Most people tend to do that. But the car culture is actually insane because this is such an affordable and reasonable car to get. It has such a almost cult following, but in a good way, in the sense that you automatically get respect when you get a Mustang. Now, obviously, if you are a teenager, you're probably going to get put into that category of I'm going to crash it. But almost everybody else has such a respect and a love for Mustangs, and you know, when you see other people on the road with Mustangs, they always tend to, you know, give you a little thumbs up, do whatever it is. You pull up next to them at a light, it's a nice, polite head nod. Cars and coffee, you're always gonna find a group of people with Mustangs, whether it be stock, modified, and they're all gonna be such nice, welcoming people. I've only had this car for almost a year now, and I've met so many other people just through the Mustang community, whether it be on Facebook groups, car meets, cars and coffee, you name it. I've met a ton of people just through having this car. All right, we're headed inside the car now for reason number 3 why you should go out right now and buy an SN95 Mustang. So reason number 3 is going to be miles per gallon when you drive this car. Now this car, like I said, the value is insane. It is bar none. You're not gonna find a better car for pretty much sub $5,000. You can find these for $5,000 or less if you really look and you want the GT, the V8 with the 5-speed manual. You can find them, you just gotta look. So the first thing for miles per gallon is gonna be the sound. But let's go ahead and take a listen to it and I'll show you what I mean. Now that was actually a cold start, completely cold. Hadn't actually started it for a couple of days, so that's what it sounds like starting up. Now we'll take a listen to it driving by and get some, you know, action shots, and you can really see what I mean. It sounds awesome, it drives awesome. And as you can tell, the car sounds great. I'm biased because I have the V8, but obviously the V6 is still a Mustang. You can still do some work to it to get it to sound pretty good. So next is going to be the driving experience. This car, if you've never been in a Mustang before, it sits low to the ground. It's a coupe, it's a two-door, two-seater. It kind of feels like you're in a sports car, which, you know, at the end of the day it is. It's a sports car, it's a pony car, a muscle car, whatever you want to call it. It's a fun driving experience. It's a two-door, very light car, very confidence inspiring, which is the reason why teenagers tend to throw them into crowds and walls. But this car wants you to drive it hard, it wants you to push it, and it just makes for such a fun driving experience. All right, reason number 4 why you should go buy an SN95 Mustang right now is the availability of parts. Now, you're probably not going to know this if you don't own a Mustang, or in particular an SN95. Parts are everywhere. You can go on Facebook, you can go on Craigslist, you can go on eBay, and there's also, at least I can think of off the top of my head, 5 websites that are dedicated to just Mustang parts. So if you don't want to get brand new Mustang parts, like I said, all you got to do is a quick search on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, you know, any other secondhand websites you can think of, and you're gonna come across plenty and plenty of Mustang parts. There's also the other option where you can go to your local, let's say, pick and pull, scrapyard, junkyard, whatever you want to call it, and there's bound to be anywhere from a 1994 to a 2004 Mustang, and you're going to be able to use pretty much all the same parts. Same goes for the Fox bodies. You just got to, you know, sometimes do your research and make sure the parts will fit on the SN95, but for the most part, all the way through the Fox bodies, all the way through the SN95, you're going to be able to find parts for them, and most of them, if not all of them, will transfer from car to car. All right, and reason number 5 why you should go buy an SN95 Mustang right now is how easy this car is to work on, which also goes back to the value and the availability of parts. Now this car, like I told you, parts are super readily available, and this car is extremely easy to work on. So if you're looking for a really affordable sports car, which is going to get a lot of looks, it's going to make a pretty good amount of power for relatively cheap, and it's going to be super fun to drive, this is the car to do it, because it is also going to be a car where you can learn so much just by doing simple modifications. Now, don't get it twisted. You're not going to be able to turbo this car in your backyard with no experience at all, but it's a good car to start on and get a really good idea for how a car works, you know, taking things apart, putting things back together. This is a great car to start doing that. Like I said, you're not going to become an expert overnight, but there is enough information online. There's plenty of tutorials on YouTube. Parts are super available, so this car is going to be a very easy car to work on. Alright, so I'm going to downshift. You're going to hear some of these awesome pops. This car puts a smile on my face every single time I drive it.